Simon, Vestibular Migraine.
Vestibular Migraine.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm going to hand over to Simon. He's going to talk through. He might be brave enough to take some questions as well at the end.
Yeah.
So over to you, Simon. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you very much. Hopefully you can all hear me. I'm Simon. 2 years ago, I'd heard of migraines because my wife is a migraine sufferer, has been for 30 odd years. I'd never heard of the word vestibular migraine. Then Tuesday, 27th of February 2018, I was in a meeting with colleagues at work and I looked across at one of them and said, "Is it me or has the world stopped moving?" A few minutes later, I had the same thought, and then I was on the floor, laying on the floor under a colleague's desk at work, shutting my eyes to try and shut the fear away, shut away what was going on in my head. And then, after an hour of lying on the floor, the first aid people came, looked at me and said, "Don't know, he's fell over, could be vertigo, could be this, could be that." They wheeled me off to the medical room and dialed 101, or whatever it is now for the NHS, who said, "We can send an ambulance in 4 hours, but we don't know what it is." So I lay there, and all of a sudden they said, "Oh, you could be diabetic. Look at you, you're a bit overweight, you could be diabetic." So the Mars bars came, and the sugar came, and the Coke came. No difference. And then, about an hour after that, probably 3 hours after I fell on the floor, I felt fine. A bit tired, a bit worn out, but I felt fine. So the NHS people turned up, said, "No, nothing wrong with you. Go and see your doctor when you get home." So got home, well, I didn't drive home, a colleague drove me home, then went to the local NHS drop-in centre. They took my blood pressure, took my heart rate, said, "No, nothing's wrong with you, you know, it's one of those things." But I said, "I've got a strange pain on the back of my neck." And they went, "Ooh, that sounds interesting. Maybe you should go to A&E." So there I was. By this time I was looking at my watch thinking, I'm going to see Bill Bailey at De Montfort tonight. No, I'm not. So got down to A&E. "What are your symptoms?" "Well, nothing really, I feel fine." So I talked them through. Off we went for blood tests, and then the guy said, "We'd like to do a brain scan, if that's all right with you." Yeah, fine, took that. And then the waiting started. So I got into Leicester A&E about 6, and about 11:30 the consultant said, "Oh, we'll see you in about the next hour." And he came to see me, and I said, he said, "Well, the good news is," he said, "you've not had a stroke, you've not got a bleed on the brain, your lumbar's all right." And I said, "Well, what are you testing me for?" He said, "I don't know." So he said, "Go home, have some rest, see your GP in the morning." So went to see the GP, nothing out of the ordinary. Next day had another attack, and then 2 days later had another attack, and they were all the same. All of a sudden it felt like something went pop in my head. Out of one eye it was going up and down, the other eye it was going side to side, and the only solace was to lie on the floor and try not to be sick. New carpet, new floor, try not to be sick. The downside is I found it very difficult to crawl up 13 stairs to be ill, so I bought myself a bucket. Best thing I've ever bought, £1.50 for the bucket. But this carried on for probably a month. So 2 or 3 attacks, fine for a week, 2 or 3 attacks. Finally, the GP believed there was something wrong with me. It said it was labyrinthitis, could be a bit of vertigo, could be food poisoning, could be just a virus. But it wasn't until I got to see Mr. Banerjee, who probably a number of you have seen, who said, "Oh, sounds interesting." So another MRI scan, more blood tests, and he said to me, "I think it's either Meniere's or vestibular migraine." I knew about Meniere's because my mother has it. Never heard of vestibular migraine. I said, "Well, it can't be because I don't get the headache." And then he explained what vestibular migraine was. His advice to me was, you will get better. He said it might be a smooth ride, but it probably won't be for the first few months until we find out what's wrong with you or how to deal with it. He then put me on a very strict food diet to try and find out if it was food triggers. So all the comfort food I'd been eating when I was initially ill, chocolate, biscuits, cakes, ice buns, can't have any of that. So I then started a food diary. So everything I ate for a year, I took a note of, and took a note of how I felt a day, 2 days, 3 days later. And cutting out loads of stuff. I lived pretty much on wholemeal rice, wholemeal pasta, tuna, white fish, and as much vegetables as I could eat, but I don't like vegetables. So I've had to learn to like vegetables, which is good, and I lost 1.5 stone in the first 6 months of the illness. I then felt, work, what am I going to do with work? So initially, going back to the first 2 or 3 weeks of being ill, probably like a lot of us, I was in bed. Every time I got out of bed, the room moved. I went out of the house, I thought, I can't walk. You know, I used to run half marathons, 10Ks and 5Ks. I couldn't walk to the end of the road without feeling odd or feeling, you know, dragging my feet or not being able to lift my feet off the floor or tripping over flat surfaces. That's the other thing I found, is I trip over the flattest surface. But during that time, I think, and as we'll talk about later, the anxiety and the depression, and will I ever work again? You know, will I ever get out of bed? Will I ever be a father to my children? Will I ever do these things? And fast forward, it's been 16 months since my last attack. I get days where, yes, I get brain fog 3-4 days a week. This morning, I put the kettle in the fridge. Don't know why, but my brain does these things. I get days. Wednesday, I dehydrated and I felt really bad. So I know, you know, my colleagues at work tell me, drink, you know, keep the fluids up, take the breaks from what you're doing. But yeah, it's been 16 months since my last attack. I still get days where I feel odd. I get days where I plan things and nothing happens. So I've learned to listen to my body. I said about the Bill Bailey tickets, I've probably got 6, 7, 8 lots of concert tickets that I've bought and never gone to. I've got tickets that are sitting to go and see Riverdance at De Montfort in a few months' time. That could be a challenge with the lights and the music, but last year I went to see Taylor Swift at the Etihad. Never thought I would do that. So things are coming back. Things are coming back slowly. And I think, to me as well, I've started running. So I'm running now 5K once, twice a week. I went out and did 10K last week, which is the furthest I ran in 2 years. So I listen to my body. I know if I eat the wrong things, I'll feel bad the next day. I know if I have a celebratory beer, I'll feel bad the next day. But I think for me, it's listening to the body, it's finding that I'm not alone. And just looking at all of you people out here, it's like, wow, I'd never heard of vestibular migraines until I got one. And it's all of a sudden, because we are, if you look at people saying, you've not got disability. Yeah, I've got something that the medical people class as a chronic illness. Yeah, I've got something that I wouldn't wish upon my worst enemy, but I look normal, whatever normal is. So, yeah, that's me. I think my message is, if you're new on this journey, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. If you're midway through the journey, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. And if you're near at the end of that light, I'm happy being 85, 90% of what I used to be, considering I was 5% 2 years ago. So yeah, that's me. Thank you very much.
Really good, Simon. One question I've got that's relevant to who is fine with Carla. Did you find the psychological bit, the anxiety, a problem?
Massively, and I still do. I think I've not been in a pub for 2 years, until about 6 to 8 weeks ago. I had to go to a tennis club meeting in a pub. I can't go in a pub, I've never been in a pub. What if I have an attack? What if I fall on the floor? That came from, I had an attack in a pub and was treated like the worst drunk in the pub. I was actually physically kicked by patrons in the pub for being drunk. It's like, no, I'm having an attack. Is my answer.
Yeah, there's a problem. Do we have questions in the audience? Yeah.
Do you take any medication at all?
I don't. I take vitamin supplements. I take vitamin B2, magnesium, vitamin E, and I try some enzyme Q10 as well. So I tend to take some supplements to keep me going. Whether they work or not, touch wood, they seem to be so far. So yeah, I think it's a grey area, but I certainly get benefit from them. But no, I'm not taking any prescription drugs for it. I'm at the moment managing it through diet, and as probably Carl will say, breaking the cycle, arguing with what's in there, and of all things, mindfulness. Mindfulness has been one of the biggest things for me, and then having that positivity of, okay, vestibular migraine lives with me. I'm not going to live with vestibular migraine. And a friend of mine who's got MS, she said to me, MS lives with me, I don't live with MS. So I've had that mantra to keep me going.
Very good. More questions? Yeah, hold on.
Do you have any blackouts?
No, when I have the attacks, I get the intense dizziness. I don't lose consciousness or black out. I just get massive visual disorientation. So I'm on the floor. I'm still conscious. I can still hear people and see things. Well, I don't see things. I don't open my eyes because it's too scary. But I'm still very much aware of what's going on. Yeah.
Anyone else? Anyone? Yeah, problem.
Did you cut salt out?
Yes. If you want a list, I can talk to you afterwards of the stuff I've cut out. Salt and MSG, that to me is the killer. So I used to love Chinese food. I've not had a Chinese meal in 2 years. I daredn't. So alcohol, caffeine, MSG, salt, chocolate, white flour. Yeah. But the stuff out there we can enjoy life. I don't live like a monk.
Any more questions from anybody? Yeah, George.
Simon, I'm George. Good afternoon to you.
Hello, sir.
Fascinating what you've said. I have a lot of things that you've said. Some of the items I don't recognise at all. Do you still drive?
Yes. Yeah.
That's interesting because one of the biggest things that I had after 50 years of driving, they took my driving licence away because my doctor had to notify DVLA, and that was such a blow to me.
Yes, I didn't drive for 12 weeks.
In driving?
Yeah. I didn't. When I had the third attack, the GP said, I'm going to notify the DVLA. So he advised me not to drive, and then my work insurance, so they wouldn't cover me for driving to work. So I gave up driving for 12 weeks. First time I got behind the wheel, after that, my anxiety was off the scale. It was just, I was as I go into any room, so the first thing I said to Colin today was, I need to look in the room where I can lay on the floor and have an attack. In a car, I need to look, how can I get off the road? For people in Leicestershire, Junction 29, Junction 21, that smart motorway, I can't drive on that because there's no escape for me. So, yeah, the anxiety of what if, but fortunately I am driving again. But yeah, that was the biggest thing for me was, what if I can't drive again? If I do have an attack, I don't drive. I discipline myself not to drive for a week afterwards, and that's hard because that's where the tickets come in, and concerts or cancelled dates or cancelled meetings or cancelled meals. So there's benefits to the illness. I don't know what they are. Meeting new people, I think, is a good benefit, and trying to live a bit healthier. But yeah, it's not all doom and gloom.
Sorry.
You're rude.
Just one more question. What's the situation like at work? Did you get the support you needed at work?
Fortunately, yes. Yeah. I won't advertise, but I work for a high street bank with a blue eagle as its logo. And the occupational health people and work have been fantastic, to the extent of when I said I want to go back to work, they said 2 hours a day, 2 days a week, for 3 weeks, no more. And I thought, 2 hours a night, how hard can it be? And I was broken. The first 2 weeks back, I was physically broken. But no, work have been really good. I see horror stories on social media of employers that don't understand the illness, and I think because it's an unknown and invisible illness, if I lost a leg, I could get a car parking space at the front.
Absolutely.
But some days I wake up and it's like, I don't know, can I go into work today? Can I actually physically walk the 200 yards from the car park to the office? But yeah, I've worked great. They've given me a seat by a window, because I'm deaf and I've got tinnitus in this ear as well, so I've got no distractions coming from that side, which is great. And I've also got an area that's probably 6 foot by 3 foot that I can crash out on if I need to. So yeah.
Very good. Right, one last question. Sorry.
Do you get any warning sign with it, or do you have any pain, like a stomach pain, if not a headache pain?
I get stomach pain and headache pain afterwards. The warning I get is I get really hot this side of my head, and then I get an really odd sort of pain on the back, and then probably 30 seconds, a minute before the attack, my hearing sort of goes in and out, and then there's like a pop, and then that's it. So yeah, that was the bit I found really scary the first time, just not getting the warning. But then after probably a dozen, nearly 20 attacks, I felt the signs, like I could predict the signs coming on. That said, the side of my head's going really hot now, but no, that's something else. But yeah, it's just looking for things out of the ordinary, and it's that keeping a diary of everything that goes on, even odd things like got stomach ache or stomach cramps or pain in the neck, or just building up that pattern and seeing what's out of the ordinary.
Wonderful. Simon, thank you very much for sharing that.